She had a new outlook on life after getting her health back.
She had been cancer-free for nearly 6 months.
But now that her darkest days were behind her, she was ready to dip her toes in the dating pool.
And the dating pool welcomed her with open arms.
She had been dating a couple of different guys.
She was playing the field like any beautiful single woman would do.
But when her body is discovered across state lines, it's all hands on deck to track down her killer.
The first 48 hours of an investigation is very important.
With no shortage of suspects, police have to consider all possibilities.
Essentially, there was a lot of finger pointing going on.
Recently, he had been acting really strange, like he was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
And when dark secrets are exposed,
He's been seeing her on the side while he has a whole wife at home.
the truth will finally come to light.
They took the seats off, and that's where they found blood.
You know how they say when somebody walk in the room, the hair on the back of your neck stand up?
They don't tell you I'm a murderous narcissist right off the bat.
It's just so heartbreaking that she was able to survive cancer, but she wasn't able to survive this.
January 5th, 2013, Bethalto, Illinois. Another holiday season is winding down in this small town just 30 miles north of St. Louis.
Bethalto, Illinois is a small, quiet, peaceful suburb of St. Louis, Missouri. Population maybe between 9 and 10,000 people.
We're right across the river from the St. Louis metropolitan area.
At 9 a.m., one young man is taking a casual stroll in a rural area of town.
He was walking his dog along a rural stretch of highway and noticed something odd on the ravine along the side of the road.
Initially, he thought that maybe it was just trash.
But a closer look reveals a much more horrifying discovery.
It was a human body.
Oh my God.
He immediately contacts authorities.
And investigators are on the scene within minutes.
Those look like gunshot wounds.
She had been shot twice in the left side of her head.
But there's no sign of a struggle. There's no blood spatter that you would imagine seeing.
For police, this means the victim was likely killed elsewhere before being dumped at this location.
But who is she?
She didn't have any identification on her, so our first step in the investigation is to obviously identify the victim.
In these cases, when you find a body along the side of a road like this, you can reasonably assume that the person has been missing within the last few days.
Bethalto police put out an APB to local precincts and almost immediately get a hit from St. Louis regarding a current missing persons case.
Someone from the St. Louis City Police Department called us and said, hey, we've got one that's missing and we think this might be her.
Can you spell that for me?
The missing woman's name is Tabitha Milton Rush.
44-year-old mother of two, Tabitha Milton Rush was the sort of woman anyone would be lucky to count among their friends.
She was a kind-hearted, nice, church-going lady.
She was a volunteer at the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis.
People were in and out of her house all of the time to just hang out with her, to be with her. She was loving and welcoming to them all.
And Tabitha had recently overcome one of life's biggest challenges.
Tabitha was a breast cancer survivor.
She had been cancer-free for nearly 6 months, and it really gave her a whole new outlook on life.
Part of that new outlook on life meant opening herself up to the prospect of romance.
Tabitha had pretty much been single since she and her husband divorced in 2009.
She was ready to dip her toes in the dating pool and see what was out there.
And Tabitha didn't have to look far. She soon reconnected with an old high school friend named Glenn Jenkins, and the two instantly hit it off.
A lot happens in 25 years.
Tell me about it.
I'm just glad you sent me that friend request. It's been amazing getting to know you again.
Likewise.
Glenn had such a positive energy, and that made Tabitha feel really safe with him.
She was able to be completely open with Glenn about her cancer struggles and her healing process.
You're an inspiration, Tab. Truly.
But Tabitha never expected to meet another potential suitor so soon.
Just days later, she was approached by a charming stranger.
Hello. Mind if I join you?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Great.
She was out having dinner one evening when she met local chef Raymond Reed.
Actually, I work back in the kitchen. Just got off my shift. I don't mean to sound forward, but you are absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Raymond was outgoing. He was fun. They really enjoyed each other's company.
It's only natural to play the field a bit after being single for a while, so Tabitha intended to explore relationships with both Raymond and Glenn.
With her darkest days behind her, Tabitha was looking forward to a new year.
In the days leading up to New Year's of 2013, Tabitha was optimistic for what the future might have in store for her.
But now, investigators in Bethalto, Illinois believe Tabitha is the Jane Doe they found shot to death in a rural area of town.
Can you spell that for me?
Bethalto police were able to connect with that family rather quickly.
The family members were able to assist in the identification almost immediately.
And they're able to confirm that the body is, in fact, Tabitha Milton Brush.
Investigators know they need to move quickly in order to track down Tabitha's killer.
The first 48 hours of an investigation is very important, and getting a timeline together of the victim of a case is very important.
Tabitha's family hadn't heard from her since New Year's Day and reported her missing on the 3rd. So police believe she was killed sometime on the evening of the 1st.
In their search for answers, one of the individuals detectives speak with is Tabitha's ex-husband, Michael Grainer.
He wants to assist in the investigation any way he can.
You have kids together?
Yes, we have 2 kids.
Michael says that although he and Tabitha were no longer together, they always maintained a great relationship for the kids.
We've been separated for maybe 5, 10 years, but we're the best of friends. I'm always, any residence she stays in, I come and go as I please.
However, Michael insists any romantic relationship between him and Tabitha ended years ago.
It wasn't a sexual thing for the last 10 years.
So, when was the last time you saw her?
On New Year's Eve, 31st, that Monday.
They both attended a New Year's Eve party thrown by one of their mutual friends.
12 o'clock, we all toast. At 1 o'clock is when it was over with.
Michael says that when they were ready to leave, Tabitha asked him if he could give her a ride.
But it's where Michael dropped her off that piques investigators' interest.
He says he dropped her off at the home of a man she'd been dating named Glenn Jenkins.
After making a miraculous recovery from breast cancer, 44-year-old Tabitha Milton Rush was looking forward to what 2013 had in store.
After surviving a terrifying cancer scare, she had this amazing new outlook on life.
You're an inspiration, Tab. Truly.
She was dating again and had recently met more than one guy that had caught her interest.
She was playing the field like any beautiful single woman would do.
But now, Tabitha has been the victim of murder.
She was found shot to death along a rural highway in Bethalto, Illinois, about 30 miles from her home in St. Louis.
Tabitha is a sweet person with no enemies.
Who would do something like this to her?
In speaking with Tabitha's ex-husband, Michael Grainer, police have just uncovered their first lead.
He says the last time he saw Tabitha was in the early morning hours of New Year's Day when he dropped her off at the home of a man she'd been dating, Glenn Jenkins.
I dropped her off at about 1:45 New Year's Day. That morning, Tuesday morning.
Michael says after that, he went to his girlfriend's house.
Okay. And I have a girlfriend that stays on Hammond, and I went there.
Michael says when he didn't hear from Tabitha later that day, he started to grow concerned.
After dropping Tabitha off at Glenn's house, he essentially never heard from her again.
She normally calls me and says, I need you to go get your daughter, gotta go to work, because this is how we interact. So that didn't happen. So come Wednesday, it's the same thing. Yeah. She ain't call me.
She didn't call you on Tuesday, which was unusual.
Right.
She didn't call you on
Wednesday was unusual.
That's when you became worried.
Yeah, and I'm like, this ain't her. She ain't giving me no break like this.
To investigators, Michael seems very trustworthy. They don't believe that he had anything to do with Tabitha's murder.
After wrapping up their interview with Michael, investigators shift their focus to Tabitha's new flame, Glenn Jenkins.
When police reach out and ask him to come to the station for an interview, Glenn Jenkins doesn't hesitate.
Thanks for coming in, Glenn.
Of course.
Glenn seems pretty shattered by what's happened to Tabitha.
I care about her a lot. I thought we was gonna have a real future together.
Glenn describes their dating relationship as casual, but in the past few weeks, he'd seen Tabitha quite frequently.
They were getting together 2 or 3 times a week. To law enforcement, that appears to be a pretty serious relationship.
Why didn't you go with her to the New Year's Eve party that night?
Well, I knew her ex-husband was gonna be there. And I thought it might be awkward.
But Glenn confirms Michael's account that Tabitha came over to his house after the party around 1:45 a.m.
Glenn says that he and Tabitha had spent the night together, and the following day, he dropped her off around 2 p.m.
He said when he dropped her off at her house, that was the last time he ever saw or spoke to her.
Look, I swear, I haven't heard from her since. Here, check my phone.
Based on the couple's phone calls and text history, it truly does seem that Glenn's last point of contact with Tabitha was around 2 p.m., the same day that he dropped her off.
And as detectives continue questioning Tabitha's inner circle, they're inclined to believe Glenn's account.
They spoke with Tabitha's friend Debbie, who reported seeing her at her home around 5:30 p.m. on New Year's Day.
Yes, I just swung by for a quick visit. I didn't stay long.
But Debbie says she wasn't the only visitor Tabitha had that evening.
Thank you for coming by.
Oh my gosh, yes, it's so good to see you.
Hold on a second.
Hey.
Hey.
Mind if I come in?
Yeah.
When she was over there, a man that Tabitha was dating came over to visit her.
His name was Raymond Reed.
Debbie, this is Raymond.
Hi, pleased to meet you.
You as well. I was actually just about to head out. You guys enjoy the rest of your night.
Okay. You have a good night.
All right, we'll talk. Okay, bye, hon.
When I left, he was still there. And I've never heard from Tabby since that.
This opens up a whole new slew of possibilities.
Raymond Reed is now the last person to see Tabitha alive.
Detectives wanted to get in touch with Raymond Reed immediately.
However, When investigators contact Raymond, it appears he's recently gone out of town.
They talked to him on the phone and he said, "I'm in Oregon."
Well, it was a belated trip to visit my family in Oregon.
Since I missed out on Christmas.
When police inform Raymond that Tabitha has been found dead, he seems extremely upset.
What? No. No, it can't be. It can't be.
Can you tell me the last time you saw Tabitha?
Raymond confirms that he went to Tabitha's house around 5:30 p.m. on the evening of January 1st.
We spent the night together, and the next morning I got up early to
catch my flight to Oregon.
Raymond says Tabitha was very much alive when he left that morning.
Oh, I can't believe this.
He says he's devastated about Tabitha's death and wants to do whatever he can to help the investigation.
But detectives aren't so sure they can trust Raymond Reed.
The trip to Oregon seems just a little too convenient.
Something seems off here. Something seems fishy.
Detectives investigating the homicide of 44-year-old cancer survivor Tabitha Milton Rush have a new suspect in their crosshairs. A man she'd recently started dating by the name of Raymond Reed.
Hey. Mind if I come in?
Yeah. As far as they know, Raymond was the last person to see Tabitha alive.
He also says he flew to Oregon around the same time she went missing, which seems very suspicious.
But when detectives review the flight manifest from the morning of January 2nd, Raymond's name is nowhere to be found.
He didn't fly to Oregon that morning. He didn't fly anywhere. So why did he lie?
Furthermore, Raymond's phone is now going straight to voicemail.
No one knows where he is.
Could he be on the run from the police? If so, he already had a 4-day head start.
And with all of this evidence kind of mounting, the police inform all of their local policemen to be on the lookout for him.
Yeah. I want his picture on every news station.
As officers scour the area for Raymond, detectives continue building their case.
We do a deeper dive into that person's history. Had they ever previously been arrested before? Do they have a history of violent crimes against persons, things of that nature?
And their concerns and misgivings about him continue to grow once they run his name through their police database.
He had a lot of domestic-related incidents where the police were called for him being abusive to a woman.
And when detectives reach out to Raymond's ex-girlfriend, she describes him as a dangerous man.
I think her exact words were, he was a cheater and a beater.
She said that he punched her, he choked her, and even stabbed her with a knife. She was so shaken by this incident, she immediately took out an order of protection against him.
Raymond Reed definitely had a dark side.
When detectives speak with more of Tabitha's loved ones, they learn she was starting to see Raymond's dark side, too.
It appears that no one is a fan.
They did not like that she was with him.
He looked like a dusty-like guy. Used to tell me, talk to guys that got something going for themselves. They're on the same page with her. I knew that he wasn't on the same page with her.
A lot of people said that they would be with her on certain days where he would call her 40 times in a row and she wouldn't answer. Repeatedly call her, nonstop.
I had never really experienced this until recently, but I just said when somebody walk in the room, if there's something about that person, like the hair on the back of your neck stand up, it was one of them kind of people.
It was kind of reported to us that a good way to describe his behavior was extremely controlling and possessive. And in law enforcement, that's kind of a red flag for us.
He was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Tabitha and Raymond had only been dating for a few months, but he'd become completely obsessed with her and was trying to convince her to marry him.
He made it known to her he wanted to move to Oregon. She did not want to do that. She had family and a lot of friends here.
He took off all my secret things. I'm gonna get married. I just want everybody to be happy for me.
He was essentially posting on her social media, pretending to be her. It was just bizarre.
In recent weeks, Tabitha had been pulling away from Raymond.
She's trying to ignore him now, but she's doing too much.
A lot of her friends say that she was backing off of him and that she was kind of ignoring him because she did not want to move to Oregon with him.
She was fed up with it. She saw it. She wanted to separate from her because she is that type of person. She was like, no, I deserve better than that.
She was starting the process of getting him out of her life, but he simply wasn't going to allow that to happen.
Was this a case of if I can't have you, no one will? When detectives speak with Tabitha's neighbors, that possibility becomes even more likely.
Neighbors report seeing Raymond's car sitting outside of Tabitha's house on New Year's Day.
They saw him sitting outside of her home that day, just staring at her home.
But it's what time this occurred that immediately strikes a chord with detectives.
It was around 2 p.m. that day.
It made them think back to their interview with Glenn, and Glenn said he had dropped Tabitha off at 2 p.m.
Now detectives wonder if Raymond saw something that sparked a jealous rage.
Did Raymond see Glenn dropping off Tabitha after spending the night with her, and did that cause him to snap?
With this chilling new information in tow, police obtain a subpoena for Raymond's phone records from the evening of January 1st.
And we have his location that evening. We also have Tabitha's location that evening. So we're tracking where they were all evening, and it shows both him and Tabitha traveling on the interstate into where her body was ultimately dumped, traveling together until her phone goes dead.
Investigators are ready to confront Raymond with the evidence in hopes of getting a confession. And it turns out he's feeling the heat.
On January 5th, Raymond actually shows up at the station to speak with investigators.
But he's not alone. There's a woman with him.
When he arrives to give his statement, he's accompanied by his wife.
In January of 2013, investigators in Bethalto, Illinois are zeroing in on their prime suspect in the murder of 44-year-old Tabitha Milton Rush.
They believe a man she'd been dating by the name of Raymond Reed is behind the crime.
He has a history of violence towards women and was exhibiting some very unsettling behaviors towards Tabitha in the weeks leading to her death.
By January 5th, it's clear Raymond has been feeling the heat.
He knows police have been looking for him, so he finally decides to show up at the station and speak with investigators.
Detectives, Raymond Reed is here.
But he's not alone.
When he arrives to give his statement, he's accompanied by his wife.
It's just really mind-blowing how he was in this relationship with Tabitha, but he shows up and he has a whole wife with him.
By all accounts, this was a man who was completely obsessed with Tabitha Milton Rush. So much so that he was trying to convince her to marry him and run away with him to Oregon. Meanwhile, he's already married.
Regardless, Raymond's wife, Faith Tyler, has his back.
Raymond Reed, nice to finally meet you face to face.
Just so you know, you have the wrong guy.
Faith says that she was with her husband the whole night on January 1st, so there's no way that he could have committed this murder without her knowledge.
Investigators believe Faith is lying to protect her husband.
Thanks, Miss Tyler. We'll be in touch.
Come with us, Raymond.
When detectives get Raymond alone, they cut right to the chase.
All right. You want to tell us what really happened on the evening of January 1st?
I already told you. I went to Tabby's around 5:30 p.m. and after that I went home.
He admits that he was at her home on January 1st.
He said that after he arrived at Tabitha's house that evening, she started to question him about the future of their relationship together.
Okay, so what's going on with us, Raymond?
I need more of a commitment. I want you to come to Oregon with me. I mean, you're gonna love it, girl.
I don't know, Ray.
The discussion turned into a heated argument.
Well, what you don't understand? I mean, we're meant to be together, you know that? The only way we can make this happen is if you agree to come with me.
Why are you so desperate to move?
He decided to finally come clean and admit that he was already married to another woman.
You can't be serious.
Yes, I'm serious. And if she ever finds out that we're together, she's gonna try everything to keep us apart. Now, the only way is to move somewhere else.
This is ridiculous. I am not going anywhere with you.
What?
He said that this disclosure of him being in a relationship with another woman just set Tabitha off, and she told him to get out of her house.
Come on, Tammy, you can't be serious. Come on, you gotta come with me now.
Get out.
You're not throwing me out. Come on.
Get out.
After that, I left.
He said he got home about 6:30 that night and never saw or spoke to Tabitha again.
He says he spent the rest of the evening with his wife, just like she said.
Why did you initially tell us that you spent the night? And why did you lie about flying to Oregon?
Detectives know they're not getting the full story here.
I don't know. I guess I panicked, okay?
That's when investigators tell Raymond his phone records place him at the site where Tabitha's body was found.
Come on, Raymond. It's time to be honest.
As the evidence piles up, he realizes that his story is falling apart.
Finally, he breaks and he says, okay, I want to tell you the truth.
You're right. There's more to the story.
But detectives never could have anticipated what Raymond says next.
It was Faith. It was my wife.
What do you mean?
He actually admitted being present when the victim was killed, only this time he started blaming it on his wife, that his wife was the one that killed Tabitha.
On January 5th, investigators working the murder case of 44-year-old cancer survivor Tabitha Milton Rush are finally sitting down with their #1 suspect, her boyfriend, Raymond Reed. But Raymond has just made a shocking accusation.
He started blaming it on his wife, that his wife was the one that killed Tabitha.
After I left Tabitha's, I returned home, and Faith and I got into a real heated argument.
He says that he came clean with his wife about the fact that he was having an affair with another woman.
He says, my wife found out about Tabitha. She was angry.
Actually, I've never seen her so angry in all my life. And I knew I needed to warn Tabby.
Raymond says later that night, he drove back to Tabitha's house, hoping she would listen to him despite their earlier argument about his marriage to Faith.
Thanks for agreeing to see me.
You have 5 minutes.
Raymond claims that unbeknownst to him, Faith was hiding in the back seat.
Oh my God, who are you?
I'm his wife.
Faith!
Faith popped up, and then the two women got into an argument over him.
That's when it got real bad.
Tell us what happened.
He said Tabitha was in the front seat. My wife was in the back, and my wife just suddenly pulled a gun out and shot her in the head twice.
Raymond says the shots killed Tabitha instantly.
Faith, what have you done?
Just drive.
Oh my God.
And that's when Faith told him that they needed to get rid of the body.
Look, I didn't want her to turn the gun on me, so I agreed to help her.
They were driving around for hours, looking for the best place to dump the body.
After they dumped Tabitha's body in rural Bethalto, Illinois, Raymond says he and Faith drove back home, covering their tracks along the way.
They bought cleaning supplies to clean out the car, and then they threw the murder weapon into the Mississippi River.
Raymond says once they got home, Faith instructed him to clean the vehicle from top to bottom.
It took hours to get rid of all that blood.
Was Raymond really an innocent bystander in all this?
There's no doubt he's guilty of being a cheater, but maybe he's not guilty of being a killer.
In an effort to verify Raymond's account, investigators conduct a forensics examination of his car.
They took the seats off. They had to unbolt the seats, and that's where they found blood.
So investigators think they can confirm that this is where Tabitha was killed. That part of Raymond's story checks out.
They also find surveillance video from a local supermarket that corroborates Raymond's story.
Surveillance video shows both him and Faith purchasing cleaning supplies on the night of the murder.
Now it's time to get Faith's side of the story.
With Raymond still in holding, detectives contact Faith and bring her back to the station for an interview.
So, like I said, you have the wrong guy.
That's why we have to talk. Raymond has pinned the crime on you. He says you killed Tabitha.
What?
She realized what we knew, and then she was told that he said that she had done it. That's when she told us everything.
No, you have it all wrong.
Faith says that around 11 p.m. on the night of January 1st, Raymond came home with blood on his hands.
Oh my God, what happened?
Raymond told her that he had just shot a man in self-defense.
He said someone tried to rob him and he had to kill them.
I had no other choice. It was either me or him. So, baby, I really need your help now.
What do you mean?
He begged Faith to go to the store with him to get cleaning supplies to clean up all the evidence.
Faith says she reluctantly did as she was told.
Wait. Don't sit there. That's what all happened. That's what all happened.
She said there was something, a sheet or something covering the front passenger seat, so he told her to get in the back, and she just got back there.
She did see blood splatter on the inside of the front passenger door.
Next, they took off into the night.
They stopped by 3 different stores to gather cleaning supplies.
She witnessed him throw something in a white sock into the river, which we can now assume was the murder weapon.
She said they came home, she went to bed, and he stayed up and cleaned the car.
And after that, I really didn't think much more about it until I saw Raymond's face all over the news.
She saw her husband's face plastered everywhere as a potential suspect in the murder of Tabitha Milton Rush.
So when Faith put the pieces of the puzzle together and she confronted him about this, he came clean. He said that he had been dating her on the side, and he shared that he had actually murdered her.
He begged me to help him establish an alibi.
Against her better judgment, Faith agreed to provide him with this alibi.
Just so you know, you have the wrong guy.
She admitted that he convinced her to tell the investigators that she was actually with him during the time period on January the 1st that Tabitha had gone missing and ultimately was killed.
But now that he's turned on her, Faith says she's not about to take the fall for him.
I would never, ever kill someone.
Police now have 2 very conflicting stories. It's he said, she said.
Investigators have to figure out who's telling the truth.
After speaking with Raymond Reed and his wife, Faith Tyler, detectives investigating the murder of Tabitha Milton Rush aren't sure who to believe.
This married couple is essentially blaming the crime on each other. They both say the other one did it.
Investigators have to figure out who they can trust, who's telling the truth.
There's one thing about Raymond's story that's giving detectives pause.
Raymond claims Faith shot Tabitha while they were sitting in the car outside of her home. But none of the neighbors recall hearing gunshots or any sort of commotion that night.
It's possible no one heard the shots, but it seems more likely that Tabitha was killed somewhere else, like in Faith's version.
And that's not the only strike against Raymond's version of events.
Raymond's phone records place him at the location where Tabitha's body was found. Faith's phone never left St. Louis.
Ballistics evidence also refutes Raymond's version of events.
His wife was right-handed. It would be virtually impossible for anyone with their right hand to reach around from the back seat and have that perfect straight-on trajectory, 2 shots.
Investigators become certain Raymond Reed is the person who fired those 2 shots.
On January 6th, Raymond is formally charged with first-degree murder.
Despite him continuing to try to maintain his false narrative, the investigators feel like they have a pretty good sense of what led up to Tabitha's death.
Based on the statements from his ex-girlfriends and conversations with Tabitha's friends and family, there's no doubt he was controlling and abusive.
And on New Year's Day, investigators believe Raymond's simmering rage boiled over as he was spying on Tabitha's house and saw Glenn drop her off.
He saw another man drop Tabitha off at home. He could not handle that, and he snapped.
Around 5:30 p.m., Raymond decided to put his plan into action.
Hey. Mind if I come in?
He knew Tabitha wasn't going to make a scene in front of her friend, so he used that opportunity to get into the home.
But after her friend left, Raymond confronted Tabitha about the man he'd seen earlier, Glenn Jenkins.
Well, what you don't understand? I mean, we're meant to be together, you know that?
Tabitha basically told Raymond to get over it because she didn't want to be with him anymore. She wanted to be with Glenn.
She told Raymond to leave.
You're not throwing me out. Come on.
Get out.
But a few hours later, Raymond showed back up at Tabitha's house and somehow convinced her to get in the car with him.
You have 5 minutes.
They drive around the city, and we know what happens next.
He shot Tabitha twice in the left side of her head.
I don't know if this is any comfort to anyone, but I personally believe that she had no idea this was coming. I think she was looking straight ahead out the window, and he just shot her.
It's just so heartbreaking that she was able to survive cancer, but she wasn't able to survive this brutal man.
After Tabitha was dead, Raymond dumped her body in Bethalto and returned home to enlist the help of his wife in covering up the crime and establishing an alibi.
Baby, I really need your help now.
What do you mean?
His manipulation of Faith just goes to show what an awful person he really was.
For nearly a year, prosecutors build their case and prep Faith to testify against her estranged husband.
She was terrified to testify at trial. She did not want to have to testify, but she knew that for Tabitha and for Tabitha's family that she had to do what she had to do.
With Faith poised to testify against him, Raymond realizes he doesn't stand a chance of convincing a jury that he's innocent.
It was going to trial a Monday after Thanksgiving, so the day before Thanksgiving, his attorneys indicated that he was willing to take a plea of guilty.
Raymond agrees to plead guilty to first-degree murder and concealment of a homicidal death in exchange for a lighter sentence.
He was sentenced to 38 years in Department of Corrections. That would make him about 84 if he gets out. So I was satisfied with that sentence.
One of the great tragedies of Tabitha's story is that she fought so hard. She had overcome that battle with cancer, But she ended up falling for this man who was just violent and toxic, and she unfortunately didn't survive that battle.
They don't tell you I'm a murderous narcissist right off the bat, right? This isn't one of those cases where, you know, the person's abusive over years and years and years and years. This is a very short period of time. They met in September, and 3 months later, he killed her.
I think every murder is senseless, but this one in particular, it's just senseless. What he took from so many people who loved her so much. It's a senseless loss of a beautiful life.
Before her name became synonymous with one of America's most perplexing missing person investigations, Jennifer Kess was known and co-workers as an ambitious. At the age of 24, she had already built an analyst in Orlando, Florida. Those who knew her described her as organized, dependable, and deeply devoted. And regular phone calls with her family were an ordinary. Jennifer had recently purchased a condominium at Millennia Complex in Orlando. Although the complex was still under construction, with she had been dating her boyfriend, Rob Allen, in nearby. Friends recalled that Jennifer was meticulous about planning without telling someone and took her professional responsibilities seriously. She had developed predictable habits that made her day. She typically left for work at the same time each weekday, drove the same route to her office. During the weekend immediately before her disappearance, before returning to Florida on January 20. That evening, Jennifer spoke with members of her family by telephone after arriving back at her condominium. According to publicly documented accounts, she did, including returning to work after her trip. Investigators later established that this conversation would be the last confirmed contact any. The following morning, Tuesday, January 20, Jennifer was expected to follow the same route. Instead, sometime after leaving her home, no verified evidence has established exact point at which she failed to arrive at work. That unanswered. Jennifer never reported feeling threatened, never behind her personal belongings, financial. Those facts quickly convinced investigators and her. More than 18 years later, despite extensive investigative efforts, national media her disappearance remains one of Florida's most enduring unsolved missing person cases. Investigators have yet to answer using verified evidence. On the morning of January 24th, Still, 2006, Jennifer Kess was expected to begin another ordinary at her job as a financial analyst in Orlando, Florida. Based on witness statements and the investigation, authorities believe Jennifer left her From that point onward, no verified evidence establishes exactly what happened. She never arrived at her office, and immediate concern began to grow among colleagues who knew her. As the hours passed without contact, Jennifer's had failed to report for work. Her parents Jennifer maintained close communication with her family, and attempts to reach her by cellular phone were unsuccessful. Alarmed by the silence, members of her family traveled to Orlando to check. Her residence showed no obvious signs of a struggle or forced entry, but investigators later confirmed that there was no money or made preparations to leave her life. Her disappearance therefore appeared inconsistent with a Detectives carefully reconstructed Jennifer's known movements and the environment surrounding her residence. At the time, portions of the condominium complex were still under construction, and contractors regularly worked throughout the property. Investigators documented these circumstances because despite extensive interviews, no witness was able to provide a verified account. As investigators gathered surveillance footage, ended abruptly, yet there was no confirmed the absence of reliable eyewitnesses and the as concern over a missed day of work. Even in the earliest hours of the investigation, detectives the central mystery of the case. More than 18 years later, despite continued investigation. As investigators work to reconstruct Jennifer Kess's final known movements, a significant development occurred less than 2 days after she disappeared. On January 26, 2006, Jennifer's black Chevrolet Malibu was located approximately 1 mile. The discovery came after a resident noticed the The location immediately drew the attention of detectives. Possible connection, yet far enough away The car showed no visible signs of a violent struggle or major collision, but its presence raised crime scene investigators processed the vehicle using the forensic techniques available at the time. They photographed the exterior and interior, searched for fingerprints, collected biological evidence where appropriate, and documented every observable detail. Public investigative records indicate that several latent fingerprints were recovered from the vehicle, but none were identified as belonging to. Authorities also determined that Jennifer's personal one who had expected to continue an ordinary workday. There was no verified evidence inside the vehicle. Perhaps the most significant piece of evidence emerged from surveillance cameras positioned near the apartment complex. Video footage captured an unidentified individual parking Jennifer's Chevrolet Malibu and then walking away from the scene. Although the recording established that another person had possessed Jennifer's vehicle after her as the individual walked along the sidewalk, nearly every investigators later explained that the timing of the camera's frame rate and the spacing law enforcement released still photographs and the surveillance video to the public, hoping someone would recognize the unidentified individual based on body shape, clothing, posture, or manner of walking. The person appeared to be wearing light-colored clothing. Investigators to stand within a broad range of possible. Authorities emphasized that they could not conclusively. As a result, detectives avoided drawing and instead encouraged members of the public the surveillance footage quickly became one of the most widely recognized pieces of evidence in the case. Across the United States, repeatedly broadcast while investigators received thousands of tips from individuals on camera. Every credible lead required careful evaluation, comparison, and, where appropriate, none of the reported identifications resulted in sufficient. The discovery of the Chevrolet Malibu and the surveillance recording transformed the investigation. Detectives now possessed confirmed evidence that Jennifer had likely driven her vehicle after her yet they still lacked direct evidence explaining where Jennifer had gone or what had happened to her. The unidentified individual captured on camera became. The limitations of the video ensured that the case remained extraordinarily difficult. More than 18 years later, investigators despite advances in forensic science, digital image enhancement, and continued public interest, neither Jennifer nor the individual shown the unanswered questions surrounding that short walk away from the abandoned car continue to define one of Florida's most enduring unsolved. Within days of Jennifer Kess's disappearance, Investigators from the Orlando Police Department had assembled a large case file built from interviews, forensic examinations, telephone records, employment information, and hundreds of tips from the public. Detectives quickly established that Jennifer's disappearance did not fit the missing person case. Her financial accounts showed no verified activity. Significant sums of money, packed personal belongings, or communicated plans to family members, friends, co-workers, and boyfriend consistently described her as responsible, dependable, and close. Those accounts reinforced investigators' belief expected event after leaving her condominium. One of the first priorities was identifying everyone who might have been present near Jennifer's residence during the critical time period. The mosaic at Millennia Condominium Complex was still undergoing construction, and contractors, subcontractors, maintenance personnel, landscapers throughout the property. Detectives interviewed numerous individuals connected attempted to determine who had been working on the site. Investigators also reviewed available visitor information. Presence near Jennifer's building appeared unusual. Telephone records became another important component of the calls, unexpected contacts, or evidence that she had arranged. Publicly released information has not identified any verified communication immediately before. Investigators also analyzed her electronic activity and work schedule. Despite these efforts, no confirmed evidence emerged establishing where Jennifer worked. As public attention intensified, investigators some callers believe they recognized the unidentified person captured on surveillance. Others reported possible sightings of Jennifer herself. Detectives followed numerous leads, eliminating. Although the volume of information demonstrated widespread public concern, it also consumed significant. Each potentially credible lead had to be examined before it could be excluded. The physical evidence available to investigators presented material neither established what had happened to Jennifer or where the crime had occurred had taken place. The absence of a confirmed crime scene limited the availability of forensic evidence that detectives therefore relied heavily on witness interviews, timelines, to identify new investigative opportunities. Jennifer's family became active participants in the search almost immediately. They distributed missing person posters, spoke and encouraged anyone with information to contact law enforcement. Their public appeals significantly increased. Over time, the disappearance of Jennifer Kess from television programs, newspapers, advocacy organizations, and investigators. Despite the extensive effort devoted to the investigation, confronting the same unanswered question that what happened between the moment Jennifer left her condominium and the moment her abandoned vehicle appeared. Every verified fact established part of the timeline, yet the investigators possessed evidence that Jennifer had vanished unexpectedly, and evidence that she never resumed contact with her family. What they did not possess was the direct evidence needed to. That gap would remain the defining obstacle, ensuring that Jennifer Kess's case continued to change. As weeks turned into months, the disappearance of Jennifer Kesse evolved from a local states, television news broadcasts, newspapers, and national crime programs of the unidentified individual. Investigators hoped that increased exposure would overlooked. Jennifer's parents, Drew and Joyce Kesse, closely with law enforcement during the early stages of and encouraging members of the public to come forward with credit. Over time, they publicly expressed frustration that despite the extensive attention the case had unanswered, their efforts ensured that Jennifer's disappearance as investigative techniques evolved, detectives periodically revisited the evidence collected in 2006 and investigative procedures offered opportunities to public records indicate that investigators reassessed against the established timeline. Although technological improvements enhanced, no publicly disclosed forensic or determined Jennifer's ultimate fate. The surveillance video itself remained both the strong evidence in the case. Investigators repeatedly acknowledged that the recording confirmed another disappearance. At the same time, the unfortunate alignment of digital enhancement efforts improved the overall quality. At the moment the images were recorded. As a result, law enforcement continued to individuals' clothing, body type, gait. Over the years, the investigation also attracted the attention of retired and independent researchers who reviewed opportunities. While these independent examinations generated discussion and occasionally highlighted, consistently emphasized that any conclusion regarding Jennifer's disappearance must be rather than speculation. Numerous theories have circulated publicly since 2000. A significant development occurred years later when Jennifer's family sought and obtained control of the investigative files through allowing independent experts working with the family to review thousands of pages of reports and support. This review reflected the family's continuing to find new leads while maintaining cooperation with law. Publicly available information indicates that as it emerges, demonstrating that the case remains active. Today, Jennifer Kess's disappearance continues. Person cases. The established facts remain remarkably consistent. Still, 2006, spoke with her. Never arrived at her office and has not been seen since. Her vehicle was recovered 2 days later at another apartment complex where beyond those verified facts, investigators continue to search for the evidence that could explain what happened during the critical period left home. Until that evidence is discovered, the disappearance of Jennifer Kesse remains an open and the hope that one credible piece of information may eventually. Although the initial investigation produced thousands of, none established what happened to Jennifer Kesse after she left her Orlando. As the years passed, the case entered a new phase. Family to ensure that every available piece of evidence would be, rather than allowing the case to become dormant, law enforcement periodically reopened lines of inquiry. These reviews reflected a common practice in law become more valuable as scientific techniques. The Orlando Police Department continued to receive anniversary media coverage or nationally. Detectives evaluated each credible lead available evidence, comparing witness statements for determining whether additional investigative work was warranted. Publicly released information indicates that many by independent evidence. Investigators consistently emphasized that the case rumor. One area of continuing interest involved the physical evidence recovered during the original investigation. To analyze biological material and latent fingerprints that may have been unsuitable for testing years earlier. While authorities have not publicly disclosed every item evidence, they have confirmed that preserved materials have been re-examined as technology has advanced. Such reviews are common in unsolved investigations, particularly when evidence has been carefully maintained. However, investigators have not announced any The unidentified individual captured on surveillance video abandoned. Specialists reviewed the recording using improved. Despite these efforts, the fundamental limitation of individual's face continued to be obscured by critical moments, preventing investigators from obtaining a clear facial image suitable for identification. Authorities have repeatedly cautioned that, although the footage is important evidence, it cannot by itself establish the person without additional corroborating information. As forensic genealogy gained national attention, several previously unsolved criminal investigations naturally arose regarding whether similar methods. Law enforcement has acknowledged advances in because the existence, quality, and suitability of biological evidence are matters that have not been fully disclosed, public officials have avoided making. Jennifer's family continued to play a significant role through interviews, public appearances, and communication with advocacy organizations. They consistently stressed that even seemingly their commitment reflected a broader reality shared by the passage of time does not diminish the need for answers. In addition to media attention, the case has been examined by experienced investigators outside the investigative team, retired law enforcement professionals, and independent case reviewers. While these reviews have generated discussion about or explaining Jennifer's disappearance, law enforcement has therefore continued to treat the case becomes available while remaining guided by documents. Nearly 2 decades after Jennifer Kesse vanished, the investigation continues to. Detectives possess a well-established timeline up to the morning Jennifer left for the recovery of her abandoned vehicle, documenting an unidentified individual. Yet the critical events linking those facts remain unknown. Every advance in forensic science offers renewed until such evidence emerges, investigators but continue to seek the one verified fact capable of mysteries into a solved case. As the investigation entered its second decade, Jennifer Kesse's disappearance became more than an active missing person case. It became a symbol of the uncertainty faced by explanation and whose questions remain unanswered despite years of investigation. Jennifer's parents, Drew and Joyce Kesse, advocate tirelessly for progress, maintaining that the search for their efforts reflected the reality that, while the impact of an unresolved disappearance remains constant for those left behind. Over the years, Jennifer's family participated in numerous interviews. They consistently encouraged anyone with credible missing person investigations have often been advanced by seemingly minor details. For that reason, law enforcement has continued to a significant development occurred in 2018 when Jennifer's family reached a the release followed years of legal proceedings and pages of reports, witness statements, photographs, and other. According to public records, the purpose of obtaining these files was not to replace the official investigation. Review the evidence for overlooked leads or unanswered questions. This level of access is unusual in an active investigation and following the review of those records, the family former law enforcement professionals who examined the investigative time. Public statements from the family's investigative team emphasized that they hoped fresh perspectives explored during the original investigation. At the same time, both the independent investigators public speculation, assumptions, or theory documentation could not substitute for verifiable facts. The case has continued to receive attention from national organizations dedicated to missing persons, investigative journalism. Each renewed examination has served two purposes. Information to come forward. Although numerous theories have circulated through books, television programs, podcasts, and online discussions, investigators repeatedly stated that no publicly disclosed happened after Jennifer left her condominium on January 24, SIL 2000. Jennifer's disappearance has also highlighted broad associated with long-term missing person investigations. Cases involving limited physical and an unknown crime scene often become exceptional. Even when investigators possess important evidence, may remain unanswered if the available identity or reconstruct the events leading to the disappearance. The Kesse investigation is frequently cited by criminal justice from determining exactly what occurred. Despite these challenges, law enforcement has case as active. Advances in investigators have publicly acknowledged that modern laboratory techniques have solved numerous cold cases once believed impossible to resolve. Although no comparable breakthrough has been announced in Jennifer's Nearly 2 decades after Jennifer Kesse disappeared, the known facts 2006, spoke with her family that evening and was expected at work. Her vehicle was recovered 2 days later, approximately 1 mile before walking away. Beyond those verified events, the investigation continues to seek the evidence capable of explaining what happened during the critical period after Jennifer left home. Until that evidence is discovered, Jennifer Kesse remains one of the most enduring unsolved missing person investigations by the unwavering determination of a family that continues to search for the truth. Nearly 2 decades after Jennifer Kesse disappeared, the Orlando Police Department has repeatedly stated information whenever credible tips are received. Jennifer has never been located, and no public Sill 2006. The absence of definitive answers has made the investigation over the years, investigators have continued to results that were impossible when evidence was first examined. Across the United States, improvements in DNA, fingerprint examination, digital imaging, and other forensic disciplines have Although these developments have generated hope for Jennifer's investigators, authorities have not announced any the unidentified person recorded on surveillance footage abandoning Jennifer's Chevrolet Malibu Law enforcement has consistently described the individual as someone investigators would like. However, officials have also emphasized an individual was directly involved in Jennifer's disappearance, was or possess knowledge of events that investigators have not yet been able to confirm. Without additional evidence, authorities have avoided making statements. Jennifer's family has continued to work with experienced investigators and forensic specialists in reviewing the extensive case file obtained through legal proceedings. Their objective has remained consistent: to statements and determine whether new Public statements from the family have consistently acknowledged that while many theories have circulated over the focused on information that can be verified through evidence. Media attention has also played a continuing role. National television programs, investigative documentaries, podcasts, introducing the case to new audiences and encouraging potential. Investigators have recognized that publicity can generate become willing to speak after the passage of time. At the same time, Law enforcement has cautioned the investigation has become a subjective study for criminal justice professionals because it detectives have been able to establish important elements of Jennifer's timeline, including and the surveillance footage documenting an unidentified individual abandoning that vehicle. Yet the central events connecting those facts remain without direct evidence identifying where investigators have been required to reconstruct the case using Jennifer Kess's disappearance has also influenced public awareness of long-term missing. Maintaining investigative files and periodically applying new forensic technologies to unresolved cases. Her family's persistence has become an example of persons continue seeking answers even their efforts have helped ensure that Jennifer's case remains. Today, the verified facts remain remarkably consistent despite the passage of she never arrived. Her vehicle was discovered approximately 2 days later at a nearby apartment complex, and surveillance footage documented an unidentified. Beyond those established facts, investigators have until new evidence emerges, the investigation continues as an active missing person case, supported by ongoing forensic and the enduring commitment of investigators and Jennifer's family to uncover an assumption. Few missing person investigations have generated as much public discussion documentaries, and social media. Some have focused on Jennifer's daily routine, complex where she lived, and still others on the unidentified. While these discussions have kept public attention focused on the case, every conclusion reached during a criminal investigation, regardless of how plausible a particular explanation. From the earliest days of the investigation, and professional life, family members, friends, co-workers, the condominium complex, and other potential witnesses. Publicly available information indicates that investigators contact with Jennifer before her disappearance. However, law enforcement has not publicly identified as being criminally responsible based on the one area that has received considerable public attention At the time of her disappearance, portions of the development remained under control. Regularly present throughout the property. Because of this activity, investigators interviewed numerous workers and reviewed the existence of construction activity is an established. However, authorities have never publicly concluded worker or contractor was responsible for Jennifer. Over the years, speculation surrounding this aspect. Another recurring subject has been the unidentified that someone other than Jennifer was in possession of her vehicle after she disappeared. Nevertheless, investigators have consistently investigation. This distinction reflects identifying a person captured on surveillance video is not the same as establishing criminal responsibility, and law enforcement has repeatedly avoided making The passage of time has also affected witness memory. As years pass, particularly when consequently, detectives have relied heavily on contemporaneous records. This approach has helped preserve the integrity of the investigation while minimizing the risk of drawing. Public interest has occasionally produced claims from individuals asserting they possessed knowledge or had solved the mystery independently. Law enforcement has evaluated such claims when a publicly verified statement from these individuals has resulted in a Investigators have repeatedly encouraged members of the public to distinguish This distinction has become increasingly important in both accurate and inaccurate can spread rapidly. Jennifer's family has consistently adopted a similar speculation as established fact. Their focus has remained on obtaining evidence capable of answering the central questions surrounding Jennifer's disappearance. Throughout the years, they have emphasized that regardless of how compelling a particular theory may appear. Today, nearly 2 decades after Jennifer Kesse disappeared, the investigation Jennifer returned from vacation on January 23, 2006, spoke with her family that evening, and was expected at work the next morning. She never Her vehicle was located approximately 2 days later, and surveillance footage documented an unidentified individual. Investigators have interviewed numerous witnesses, examined physical evidence, reviewed forensic material, Yet, despite extensive investigative efforts, determined exactly what occurred after she left her car. The case therefore remains an enduring reminder that investigations depend not on the popularity of a theory, As Jennifer Kess's disappearance approached its 20th year, investigators continued to treat the case as an active missing person. Although many of the original detectives had retired or moved to other assignments, the evidence collected in 2006 This continuity is a common feature of long investigations, where unresolved cases Jennifer's case has been repeatedly cited as an example of why preserving evidence and maintaining detailed investigative records are essential in complex missing person investigations. The Orlando Police Department has stated on multiple occasions that new information is of value. While many reports submitted over the years have not experience in other cold cases has demonstrated For that reason, detectives have maintained that even information that appears insignificant could be considered alongside existing evidence. Advances in forensic science have transformed criminal investigations since Jennifer disappeared. Modern DNA analysis is capable of at the time of the original investigation. And evidence preservation have increased investigators' ability to extract information. Law enforcement has acknowledged these technological developments and has indicated that evidence retained from Jennifer's case. However, authorities have not publicly announced that these examinations have produced evidence identifying the surveillance footage showing an unidentified individual abandoned continues to occupy a central place in the investigation. Despite repeated enhancement efforts by forensic from the same limitation documented when individual's face is obscured at the critical moment. Posts with the cameras recording intervals. As a result, investigators have been unable to produce a publicly provides investigators with a specific timeline surrounding the recovery of the car. Jennifer's family has remained committed to supporting the Since obtaining access to thousands of pages of investigative records, they have continued working with timelines and forensic documentation. Their public statements have consistently reflected a careful This emphasis on factual accuracy has helped distinguish the official investigation. The case has also contributed to broader discussions practices for investigating missing person cases. Investigators and forensic professionals have noted the importance of rapidly securing surveillance, documenting witness observations before memories fade, preserving and maintaining organized case files that can be effectively reviewed years later. Although these lessons have emerged from numerous investigations across the United States, referenced because it demonstrates how a case investigative effort and sustained public interest. Public awareness continues to play an important role. And that the investigation has not ended. Each renewed appeal creates another opportunity for witnesses. Investigators have emphasized that many cold cases have been solved continued public engagement. Today, the verified timeline remains clear. On January 23, 2006, communicated with her family that evening and was expected at work the following morning. She never arrived. Her vehicle was discovered approximately 2 days later. Investigators have examined physical evidence, interviewed witnesses, reviewed and continued evaluating new leads for nearly 2 decades. Yet no publicly released evidence has conclusively established what happened to Jennifer. Until new, verifiable evidence emerges, the investigation remains open, and the unwavering determination of Jennifer Kess's family to seek Jennifer Kess's disappearance has remained unresolved. As years passed without definitive answers, one of the most frequently referenced examples in discussions about long-term missing person investigations. Criminal investigators, forensic specialists, not only because of its enduring mystery, but the challenges that arise when a person disappears without While every investigation is unique, Jennifer demonstrating how even a substantial amount of evidence can lead. And after she left home on the morning of January 24th, one of the lasting lessons concerns the importance of and created extensive investigative files. Although those materials did not immediately identify forensic science has advanced. Modern criminal investigations frequently rely on the continued preservation of evidence in Jennifer's case retain the opportunity to apply future scientific methods should new technologies become available. The investigation has also underscored the importance of surveillance recordings, witness interviews, as time passes, surveillance systems over less precise and physical evidence made. Although detectives in Jennifer's case acted quickly, not always overcome the limitations imposed. The surveillance footage showing an unidentified person abandoning Jennifer's vehicle, despite capturing a potentially important individual, recording prevented investigators from obtaining. Jennifer's family has continued to advocate not only for public awareness of missing person investigations generally, through interviews, public appearances, and cooperation with media organizations. Their advocacy reflects a reality recognized by particularly when individuals who may have been reluctant to come forward initially later. Anniversary coverage, documentaries, and the case has also highlighted the role of collaboration in complex investigations. Over the years, investigators have worked alongside forensic specialists and organizations dedicated to assisting missing person investigations. While the official investigation has remained the responsibility, such cooperation has become increasingly common in investigations, particularly those involving advances. Another significant aspect of Jennifer Kess's legacy some have received widespread attention through books, television programs, podcasts, publicly available information has not established the person responsible for Jennifer's disappearance. This careful adherence to documented evidence conclusions must be supported by facts capable, regardless of how persuasive a particular theory may appear. Today, Jennifer Kess's disappearance continues. Jennifer returned from vacation on January 23, 2006. Her Chevrolet Malibu was recovered approximately 2 days later. Despite years of investigation, thousands of leads, responsible or determined Jennifer's fate, the case remains active and law enforcement continues until new evidence answers the questions that have persisted. persistence, and commitment required in the pursuit. The disappearance of Jennifer Kesse remains investigative work. Over the years, law enforcement agencies, legal scholars, and investigative have revisited the case in an effort to understand why, despite an extensive investigation, the central questions remain unanswered. Rather than serving as an example of investigative failure, the case progress depends entirely on the discovery of new evidence. From the earliest stages of the investigation, established investigative procedures. They secured Jennifer's condominium, interviewed family members, co-workers, neighbors, and complex, examined her financial records, reviewed available telephone records, collected physical evidence from her recovery. Each of these investigative steps produced information that helped establish portions of Jennifer's timeline. Collectively, they confirmed that she had returned in 2006, communicated with her family, and had her vehicle abandoned at another apartment complex approximately 2 days later. These are among the strongest documented facts. At the same time, the investigation illustrates detectives have repeatedly acknowledged that there is no who observed Jennifer after she left her condominium. Likewise, investigators have not publicly identified a confirmed crime scene or disclosed forensic evidence that could. As a result, the critical period between her departure from home and the recovery of her vehicle remains. This missing portion of the timeline continues to define the investigation. The surveillance recording recovered from the Huntington on the Green apartment complex. The footage established that an unidentified person. However, investigators also determined that the coincided with fence posts positioned between. Numerous digital enhancement efforts have been undertaken individual. Consequently, the surveillance footage remains one of the most important pieces of evidence, while simultaneously the investigation has also emphasized the value of science frequently create opportunities to reanalyze could not previously produce meaningful results. Modern DNA analysis, improved fingerprint comparison methods, digital. Although no comparable breakthrough has been publicly announced in Jennifer Kesse's disappearance, investigation. Jennifer's family has remained an important part of the to obtain investigative records and cooperation with experienced investigators, They have sought to ensure that the case continues receiving careful review. Their public statements have consistently emphasized public discussion, with many theories proposed through media coverage, documentaries, podcasts. Investigators have repeatedly reminded the public evidence. The case has influenced broader conversations about criminal justice professionals often cite Jennifer Kess's disappearance when discussing the importance of preserving surveillance footage, and periodically reviewing unresolved cases using. Although these practices are now common across many jurisdictions, continues to illustrate why long-term evidence even years after an investigation begins, preserved evidence may become the foundation for future investigations. Today, nearly 20 years after Jennifer Kesse vanished, investigators continue to encourage anyone with credible information to contact law enforcement. The passage of time has not altered the official status. The documented facts remain unchanged, but and information provided years after the original. Whether Jennifer Kesse's disappearance will one day follow that path is unknown. Until new, verifiable evidence emerges, the investigation continues as in cases in the United States, reminding investigators and the public alike that the pursuit of truth often requires patience. Nearly 20 years have passed since Jennifer Kesse disappeared. But because it continues to shape discussions about how missing person cases are investigated in the United States. The passage of time has transformed the case from an investigation into a long-term criminal inquiry. To identify new information, detectives, forensic specialists, journalists, and researchers continue to study the case milestones and unanswered questions that have resisted resolution. Years of sustained effort. One of the defining characteristics of Jennifer's disappearance public records establish a clear sequence of verified events. Jennifer returned from vacation in St. Croix on January 23, 2006, arrived at her Orlando. Nothing reported during those conversations suggested that she intended to leave voluntarily or believed. The following morning, she was expected to drive to her when investigators located her Chevrolet Malibu approximately 2 days later at the Huntington on the Green, the vehicle became the focal point of the investigation. Surveillance footage established that an unidentified individual had parked the car and walked away. Beyond these documented facts, however, investigators establishing exactly what occurred. This distinction between established evidence and unanswered questions evidence. Although numerous theories have been discussed publicly, cannot substitute for documented facts. This approach reflects a fundamental principle of testimony or scientifically validated forensic analysis. Until such evidence exists, authorities or endorsing any particular explanation of Jennifer's disappearance. The case has also demonstrated the importance of pages of reports generated during the original investigation. Witness statements, forensic reports, photos of work completed since January 2006. This documentation allows new investigators to understand the where modern forensic techniques or additional information might contribute to future programs. Long-term investigations often depend on the quality of records, particularly when personnel change. Advances in forensic science remain an hope. Across the United States, previously unsolved investigations have been an investigative genetic genealogy. Jennifer's case is frequently mentioned whenever these breakthroughs Nevertheless, law enforcement has not published disappearance. As a result, the investigation continues to rely upon preserved evidence, careful analysis. Methods may reveal information unavailable today. Jennifer's family has continued to advocate for the investigation. Interviews, public appearances, and collaboration with experienced investigators, they have emphasized that the objective remains determining what happened to Jennifer through verified evidence. Their efforts have also encouraged broader awareness many years. This advocacy has contributed to continuing public awareness and periodic media coverage. The investigation also serves as a reminder of relationships change, memories are refreshed by media coverage, and witnesses sometimes. For that reason, investigators continue to encourage anyone with every credible tip is evaluated against the established evidence to determine whether it contributes meaningfully. Today, Jennifer Kess's disappearance remains the known timeline has not changed. The surveillance footage continues to be carefully examined and preserved Despite extensive investigative efforts, the case therefore continues as an active investigation. Patience, meticulous evidence preservation, and the continuing belief that a newly cooperative witness or previously overlooked evidence may nearly 2 decades after Jennifer Kesse disappeared, remain unanswered. On the evening of January 23, Sill 2000 returned to her Orlando condominium after Croy and spoke with members of her family before preparing to return to work the next morning. Those conversations were ordinary, reflecting the routine. Been shattered. Jennifer never arrived at her office, repeated attempts successful, and concern quickly escalated of the largest missing person investigations in Central Florida. The official timeline established through witness statements, employment records, and investigative documentation has remained remarkably consistent, even as the search for answers has continued. Among the most significant developments in the case the discovery of the vehicle at the Huntington on the Green apartment complex provided investigators with tangible evidence that Jennifer's car disappearance. Surveillance cameras documented an unidentified individual parking the vehicle and leaving the area on foot. Although that evidence in the investigation, it has also become a symbol of the case's extraordinary. Because of the unfortunate alignment of the cameras recorded fence posts, investigators were unable to obtain a clear image of the individual. Despite repeated enhancement efforts over the years, publicly available footage has not yielded an identification. The person captured on the recording has never been publicly identified through verified evidence, and authorities have not announced any conclusive determination regarding that individual's role in Jennifer's disappearance. Throughout the investigation, law enforcement has phone and financial records, analyzed surveillance footage, and followed thousands of leads. They also revisited the case as advances in forensic. Nevertheless, no publicly released evidence has or explained the sequence of events that occurred during. Those unanswered questions continue to define the investigation. Jennifer's family has remained steadfast in its pursuit of answers. Cooperation with investigators, efforts to obtain investigative records, and experienced professionals, they have worked to ensure that the case continues. Their public statements have consistently emphasized the first-hand verifiable information to contact law enforcement rather than relying on rumors or unsupported theories. Their persistence has helped keep Jennifer's story in the public consciousness. The case has also left a lasting mark on the broader field of missing. Criminal justice professionals frequently cite Jennifer and periodically re-examining unresolved investigations as forensic technology evolves. Advances in DNA analysis, imaging, fingerprint comparison, and investigative genetic genealogy have solved numerous cold cases. While those developments have not yet produced a publicly announced breakthrough in Jennifer's case, they continue. Today, Jennifer Kess's disappearance remains an active investigation. Detectives have repeatedly acknowledged that many resolved because a witness comes forward after years of silence, or scientific advances allow evidence to be interpreted. Those possibilities remain relevant in Jennifer's case, which continues to be reviewed whenever new information or improved forensic methods become available. The documented facts of the investigation remain clear. She never arrived. Her vehicle was recovered approximately 2 days later. Beyond those verified events, investigators have quickly established what happened to Jennifer or who was responsible for her disappearance. Until new evidence emerges, the case remains one of the most enduring unsolved missing person investigations in the United States. Jennifer Kess's story is therefore not a conclusion that an unresolved investigation is not the same as a forgotten one. Every preserved document, every piece of forensic review, and every credible tip reflects the continuing effort to replace uncertainty with documented fact. The investigation endures because the questions that have never been answered. Whether those answers come through future scientific advances, newly discovered evidence, or the decision of a witness to share long-withheld information, the objective remains unchanged: to establish the truth through verifiable evidence and to provide the answers that Jennifer's family has sought for nearly 2 decades. Until that day arrives, the disappearance of Jennifer Kesse remains an open chapter in American criminal investigative history, one defined not by speculation, but by the enduring pursuit of facts.